In this next video, video 4, what we're going to try and do is have it so that when a user clicks on one of the options for their question, they'll get either the right or the wrong answer. So basically what we're going to do is, in the previous video, we set all of these options down here. These are what will just be displayed normally. And what we're going to do is create another button event. So when the user clicks on the button, it's basically going to toggle or have the effect of toggling these options from true to false. It'll basically be the opposite way round of what it is currently. So what we do to achieve this effect is, first of all, choosing one of the buttons. So I've just clicked on the top one here, which is Irish Setter, and I'm going to use one of the code snippets in here, and we're going to use event handlers, and we're going to use a mouse click event, because ultimately what we're not changing the frame, we're just saying that when a user clicks on an event or clicks on a button in this instance, this is what's going to happen. So if we double click on that, it will generate some gumph here. We don't need the items in grey. That's what we call a comment, and so we don't need it. And what we're going to do, I'm going to copy those items on lines 1 to 6, and I'm going to copy it and paste it into the function below. So when basically what this does is it listens for an event, which is when someone's going to click on the Irish Setter, and then it's going to change all of these items. So the Irish Setter is the wrong answer. So what I want this to be is true, and everything else what I want to be false. So all I'm going to do is change these values here to false. And we can go through exactly the same process for the next two answers here. So the next answer is Gordon Setter, and then I'm going to click on the mouse click event down below, and again I can get rid of the gumph. The white space doesn't actually do anything. It's a bit like HTML in that respect. And again, this time I'm going to copy the list from the previous function and paste it in here. Now obviously I want to switch these two values around because Gordon Setter is the right answer. Okay, true and false. And then the final one is the English Setter. Mouse click event, and this one will have the added advantage of, as it is the wrong answer, I can just use this function which was in the Irish Setter, and I can just copy and paste it right in and not have to change anything. So that's the main bulk of your code. So it's 43 lines there, but actually we've not written a huge amount, to be honest with you. And let's test this. So control test. And when I click on here, I should get the troll face, although I should actually set my image to disappear. But that is kind of the effect that we want, minus the image, which I must. What did I call this? I haven't called anything. Let's change that. Convert to symbol, movie clip, image 1. So I'm just going to set it so we can actually make that disappear. Equals false, and I'm just going to copy and paste that into functions below. So I'm copying and pasting. I use kind of keyboard shortcuts most of the time, which in this instance terms of pasting, it's Control and V on a PC. Oh, whoops. So now I'm going to try that again, and I'm going to select the right answer this time just to make sure that works, and you can see that the image has this bit. Now this is obviously great. What we want to do now is move or enable the user to move on to the next question. So actually what we need to do to enable this is add another button in here, and you know, I'm going to be radical and have just a pink button. Ooh. Of course, I have it on a different slide to what I want. I can put this on the button page. It's because I have set the thing to it's always the way when you're doing some kind of demo. Never quite does what you want it to do. Right, convert it to symbol. I'm going to save this as a button, and Q2. I'm going to call it Q2.btm because it's going to link to question 2. And I'm going to click OK. Then text. Of course, I haven't put any text in, have I? That was wise. You can always kind of change buttons by double clicking on them, and then you have up, over, down, and hit states. What that means is up is the normal state for a button, so it's just the one you're going to see most of the time. Over is when you hover your mouse over the button. Down is when you press down on the button, so you sometimes you might have an effect of it being depressed. It's quite common. Just to give the user some feedback as to whether or not it's been pressed down or not, or you could have a hit state, which is after you've clicked on it. Generally, you don't tend to see the hit state very much because, like I said, you will have clicked on it most of the time. But I just want to put some text on there. To Q2. That worked well. To Q2. Beautiful. And now I've gone backwards, and what I want to do in my actions, so I'm going to go back into the actions panel, is set this default to be hidden. But first of all, I obviously need to give it an instance name, which is going to be Q2_BTM. And then when I go back and see actions, make sure we get the frame. Q2_BTN dot visible was false. And then I'm going to add it to all of the results down here. So I'm going to make it visible on these. Can you imagine a life without copy and paste? It'd be horrendous, wouldn't it? So that when the user has clicked on one of the answers, they're going to get the option to move on to the next question. So let's try this out. Proceed. I have no idea why this thing is behind here. Anyway, there we are. It's there anyway. And at the minute it does nothing, so we need to make it do something. And how we're going to do that is, again, in the actions, we're going to do a go to and stop, similar to the very first button in the project. So action script, timeline actions, go to frame, and stop is the one we want. and it's gone under all the previous code, which is fine. Now you can see the default frame it's gone to is 5, which would be going back in time. Now what we it doesn't actually matter this, because we're not really using the timeline as a timeline, we're just using it as more places to go to. I'm going to put frame 40 in there for the next question, and just to make sure that's all working, I'm going to add blank keyframes. All the way down. Okay, so there's nothing on those at all, so I'm just going to add frame test. Very exciting. This is what happens when you get old, you give things very exciting names. Okay, so let's test this out, make sure it all works. Again, I don't know why the pink, but anyway, you guys can really spend a lot of time making it look pretty. Okay, but I'll bore you witless if I spend a lot of time doing that in these videos. I might already be doing that, who knows. English setter, go to Q2, and then that's where we will begin the whole process all over again. So you pretty much do exactly what you've done for the first question, for the second question, you know, if that's what you want to do. So, but I'm not going to go through all 5 questions, or indeed however many questions you want in there. However, I do want to have a look at inserting video, and I'll do that in the next video.